Welcome back to our White Flag Devotionals. Happy Wednesday, everyone. This is the week leading up to Easter. Hope you guys are getting excited about celebrating that with family and friends. Hope you'll be with us on Good Friday for our Seder dinner and on Easter morning for a special live stream. Hey, our text for today is out of Mark chapter 14, verses 1 through 11. So will you read it along with me? Now the Passover and the festival of unleavened bread were only 2 days away, and the chief priests and the teachers of the law were scheming to arrest Jesus secretly and kill him, but not during the festival. They said, or the people may riot. While he was in Bethany, reclining at the table in the home of Simon the leper, a woman came with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume made of pure nard. She broke the jar and poured the perfume on his head. Some of those present were saying indignantly to one another, "Why this waste of perfume? It could have been sold for more than a year's wages, and the money given to the poor." And they rebuked her harshly. "Leave her alone," said Jesus. "Why are you bothering her? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, and you can help them any time you want. But you will not always have me. She did what she could. She poured perfume on my body beforehand to prepare for my burial. Truly I tell you, wherever the gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went to the chief priests to betray Jesus to them. They were delighted to hear this and promised to give him money. So he watched for an opportunity to hand him over. Here we have two stories, one kind of sandwiched in between the other. This is one that actually Mark kind of does this a lot, where he takes two stories and he kind of bookends one story with another. There's the story of the chief priests wanting to kill Jesus, and then Judas actually going to them to make it all happen. And then there's this story of this woman and the alabaster jar kind of sandwiched between. We don't have time to cover all of them, and so for us today, I kind of want to focus on that middle story of the woman and the jar. So Jesus is reclining at this table, and this woman walks in, and she comes up to him and breaks an alabaster flask of perfume. It's a very costly perfume, and she uses all of it, and this is significant. At this time taking place, Jesus looks at her, but he sees something totally different than most everyone else in the room. The other guys start complaining about what she's doing, like, "Hey, you're wasting a year's worth of wages, and you could give this to the poor." You see, the flask she had is very expensive heirloom, and it is filled with expensive oil. But it was common for households at this time to have a flask of oil. So it's not just about the flask and the oil. What's interesting about this story is that it was pure nard, and this woman uses all of it. Now, nard would have been probably imported. It would have been more expensive than what other households would have had as the oil in this jar that they would use in these different ways. And so it's a more expensive oil, and it's the fact that she uses all of it. That wasn't customary. It was actually customary to use like a capful or a small amount. But she breaks the jar and then uses all of it. The flask and the value of the whole amount of oil would have been in the range of what a normal person makes in a year's wages. Now, let that sink in. Identify how much you make in a year, or how much your household makes, or how much some people you know make, and then put that in a jar, and then imagine taking all of that and pouring it over somebody's head. It's pretty significant. This year's worth of wages, this expensive jar is broken and it's spilled out on Christ. These guys are thinking, what a waste, a year's wages. But God is using the story and this woman to show us just how important Jesus and what he is about to do. How he's about to go to the cross, to die and to rise again. How significant, how important it is. See, the death and resurrection of Jesus is worthy of everything. He is worthy of our all. He's worthy of throwing away a year's wages. Are we willing to recognize that because of who Jesus is, what he's done for us on the cross, he is worthy of our all? Even when other people think it's silly, even when other people don't understand it, are we willing to give him our all because we recognize who he is and what he's done? Would you be willing to give up a year's wages despite what anybody else thought because it meant following him and honoring him? Is our faith that radical? These are good questions to ponder as we think through what it means to actually follow Jesus, to surrender to him, especially as we ponder who he is and what he means in our life as we lead up to celebrating what he did on the cross for us. Thanks for being with us.